The United States requires a powerful, fully funded deportation agency to remove illegal aliens, criminal immigrants, fraudulently admitted immigrants, and all other unwanted foreign elements from its territory. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is that agency. Established in 2003 under the Homeland Security Act of 2002, ICE merged critical enforcement functions from the former Immigration and Naturalization Service and U.S. Customs Service to become the central mechanism for protecting national security, public safety, and the integrity of American communities. ICE enforces federal immigration and customs laws against cross-border crime, illegal immigration, terrorism, human trafficking, narcotic smuggling, child exploitation, financial crimes, and other transnational threats. With more than 20,000 personnel operating in over 400 offices across the country and abroad, and an annual budget in the range of $8 to $10 billion, ICE possesses the nationwide framework, detention capacity, investigative authority, and removal infrastructure necessary to expel unlawful and dangerous non-citizens. ICE's Enforcement and Removal Operations Directorate identifies, arrests, detains, and physically removes criminal aliens and other priority targets from the interior of the United States. Homeland Security Investigations targets transnational criminal networks and national security threats. The agency's structure ensures comprehensive coverage far beyond the border, where U.S. Customs and Border Protection handles initial apprehensions and expedited returns. Before ICE existed, the Immigration and Naturalization Service carried out deportations under the Department of Justice from 1933 until 2003, continuing the work begun by the Bureau of Immigration in 1891. These historical agencies enforced early federal laws, the 1798 Alien and Sedition Acts, the 1875 Page Law, the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, the 1917 and 1924 Immigration Acts, and Operation Wetback in 1954, demonstrating that deportation has always been an essential tool for controlling unwanted migration and protecting the nation. Any functional modern country, especially a wealthy destination nation like the United States, must maintain a dedicated deportation system. Borders cannot be sealed perfectly. Foreigners, criminals, welfare seekers, and security threats will always find ways to enter. ICE provides the indispensable interior mechanism to locate, detain, and remove those individuals after entry. Without a robust, aggressively funded ICE, there is no effective way to expel criminal illegal aliens, fraudsters, or enemy combatants living inside American communities. Full support for ICE is therefore not optional. It is foundational to sovereignty, safety, and the preservation of American resources. Historical foundations of deportation as national defense. Deportation stands as a legitimate, time-tested, and absolutely necessary instrument of national self-preservation throughout American history. From the earliest colonial period, authorities recognized the threat posed by transients, indigents, and unwanted foreigners who arrived without means or legal standing. Drawing directly from English poor law traditions, local communities exercised the power to banish or forcibly remove such individuals to prevent burdening public resources and to maintain social order. These early practices established the foundational principle that a sovereign territory has the inherent right and duty to expel those who do not belong, setting the stage for federal authority over immigration control. This was not optional governance. It was essential defense against exploitation and disorder. The federal government decisively asserted its control with the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798, granting the president explicit power to deport any alien deemed dangerous to national security or public peace. This marked the clear emergence of deportation as a federal tool for protecting the young republic from internal subversion and foreign influence. Building on that authority, the 1875 Page Law banned and enabled the removal of criminals, persons with contagious diseases, and Asian forced laborers, particularly targeting Chinese women suspected of prostitution, while the landmark 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act imposed a total ban on Chinese laborers, required registration of those already present, and authorized deportations of unauthorized individuals. These laws were direct, race, and threat-based measures designed to shield American society from demographic and economic invasion. The creation of the Bureau of Immigration in 1891 further expanded deportable categories to encompass anarchists, beggars, prostitutes, and political radicals, allowing removals within 1 year of entry for any violation. Each step reinforced the same core truth: unlawful or dangerous foreigners must be expelled to safeguard the nation. Subsequent legislation strengthened this defensive posture. The 1917 Immigration Act introduced literacy tests and created the Asiatic Barred Zone to exclude most Asians entirely. The 1924 Johnson-Reed Act implemented national origins quotas that favored Northern Europeans and completely barred Asians, resulting in widespread deportations of those outside quota limits. The 1952 Immigration and Nationality Act consolidated and broadened grounds for exclusion and deportation, explicitly including subversives and other threats to internal security. The 1996 Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act dramatically expanded deportable offenses, applying retroactively to minor crimes, introduced expedited removal procedures, and mandated detention for many categories, causing deportation numbers to skyrocket. Operation Wetback in 1954 exemplified decisive action, removing over 1 million illegal aliens through coordinated raids, mass arrests, and escorted departures. From 1920 to 2018, the United States expelled nearly 57 million people, far more than any other nation, conclusively proving deportation's unmatched effectiveness in preserving order, protecting jobs, securing resources, and defending against unwanted foreign intrusion. These policies were never rooted in cruelty. They were rooted in the fundamental obligation to protect American citizens from chaos, exploitation, welfare abuse, criminality, and cultural erosion. History demonstrates unequivocally that nations lacking strong, uncompromising removal mechanisms inevitably invite large-scale disorder, resource depletion, and loss of sovereignty. ICE is the direct, modern continuation of this essential American tradition. It embodies the long-standing principle that unlawful, criminal, and unwanted foreigners must be located, detained, and expelled without hesitation or apology. Any effort to weaken, defund, restrict, or abolish ICE constitutes a direct assault on this historic and indispensable function of national defense. Full, unrestricted support for ICE is the only acceptable position for those committed to preserving the United States as a sovereign, secure, and self-reliant nation. ICE as the sole effective interior deportation authority. ICE stands alone as the only federal agency with a complete, nationwide infrastructure required to conduct large-scale interior deportations at the scale demanded by the current crisis. No other entity possesses the combination of dedicated detention beds, now expanded to over 73,000 and projected to reach 100,000 to 135,000, specialized investigative units, trained removal teams, transportation fleets, and legal authority to locate, arrest, detain, and physically expel criminal illegal aliens, fraudulently admitted immigrants, welfare exploiters, and national security threats from deep within American communities. The Enforcement and Removal Operations Directorate executes this mission daily through coordinated raids, workplace enforcement, courthouse arrests, traffic stops, and neighborhood operations, ensuring that unlawful and dangerous non-citizens cannot hide in cities, suburbs, or rural areas. Homeland Security Investigations complements this effort by aggressively pursuing visa fraud, identity theft, espionage, money laundering, and transnational criminal networks that enable illegal presence and exploitation of American systems. This full-spectrum capability, arrest to removal, is unique to ICE. No substitute exists in the federal government. U.S. Customs and Border Protection excels at border apprehensions, expedited removals, and immediate returns at ports of entry, but it lacks the authority, personnel, and operational footprint for sustained interior enforcement. CBP agents are stationed at the perimeter, not embedded across the 50 states with the mandate to penetrate communities and dismantle embedded criminal networks. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, Drug Enforcement Administration, and other agencies can investigate specific crimes, but they do not maintain the detention infrastructure, removal flights, or immigration-specific legal framework needed to deport individuals solely for unlawful presence or immigration violations. State and local police may assist through 287G agreements, but they cannot independently deport. They rely on ICE to take custody and execute removal. Without ICE at full strength, the entire chain of interior enforcement breaks down. If ICE were dissolved, defunded to the point of irrelevance, or crippled by political restrictions, as some seek through budget cuts, abolition proposals, or administrative shackles, no viable replacement mechanism stands ready. New legislation would be required to reassign functions, a process that could take years and face endless obstruction. Emergency declarations might authorize temporary military support, but they cannot permanently substitute for ICE's specialized deportation machine. In the interim, criminal illegal aliens convicted of violent crimes, fraudsters using stolen identities to access benefits, welfare exploiters draining public resources, and potential foreign operatives would remain free to operate inside American neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, and welfare offices. Border returns would persist, but the interior would become a sanctuary for the very threats ICE was created to eliminate. That scenario is intolerable and must never be allowed. ICE must therefore be fully funded at unprecedented levels, aggressively expanded in personnel and capacity, and completely insulated from political interference or reform efforts that weaken its mission. The agency's recruitment drives, offering massive signing bonuses, loan forgiveness, and relaxed standards, must continue without pause. Detention expansion, new facilities including state partnerships and military base utilization, and unrestricted interagency cooperation are non-negotiable requirements. Only a dominant, unrestrained ICE can ensure that every criminal illegal alien, every fraudulently admitted immigrant, and every unwanted foreign element is located and removed without delay. Anything less invites continued invasion and exploitation. ICE is not merely one option among many. It is the sole effective authority for interior deportation, and its absolute strength is essential to American survival as a sovereign nation. Deterrence, self-deportation, and visible enforcement. A strong, visible, and forceful ICE is the most powerful deterrent to illegal immigration that exists. When potential illegal entrants abroad learn that deportation inside the United States is swift, certain, and uncompromising, the vast majority decide not to make the journey at all. The knowledge that ICE maintains a nationwide network of agents, detention facilities, and removal flights sends a clear signal. Crossing the border unlawfully or overstaying a visa will end in capture and expulsion. This psychological barrier is far more effective than any wall alone could ever be. Criminal aliens, fraudsters, welfare exploiters, and other unwanted foreigners already embedded in American communities experience the same pressure when they witness ICE conducting large-scale workplace raids, traffic stops, courthouse arrests, neighborhood sweeps, and public deportations. The sight of agents in action, handcuffing violators, loading them onto buses and planes, and returning them to their countries of origin, instills real fear and prompts immediate decisions to leave voluntarily before ICE arrives at their door. Aggressive physical removals, executed publicly and systematically, reinforce the message that unlawful presence will not be tolerated under any circumstances. Every publicized arrest, every televised deportation flight, every report of a criminal alien being removed from a community amplifies the deterrent effect exponentially. Criminal networks that rely on illegal labor, fraudulent documents, or safe havens inside the United States begin to collapse when members see colleagues and associates vanishing into ICE custody. The visibility of enforcement is not incidental, it is deliberate and essential. When ICE operates without apology, without restraint, and with maximum public exposure, it creates a climate of inevitability. No one can hide forever, no sanctuary city can protect forever, no fraudulent status can shield forever. This unrelenting pressure drives self-deportation on a massive scale, as individuals calculate that leaving on their own terms is far better than waiting for the inevitable knock. Current policies under the Trump administration provide undeniable proof of this mechanism in action. Deportations surged past 600,000 in 2025 alone, detention capacity more than doubled through new facilities and partnerships, and border encounters collapsed by 93% year-over-year. Self-deportation tools, the CBP Home app for scheduling voluntary departures, cash stipends to cover travel costs, and escalating daily fines of $998 for failure to comply with removal orders, have accelerated the exodus dramatically. Millions of illegal aliens, recognizing the restored enforcement environment, have chosen to exit before ICE locates them. Visible operations, including multi-agency surges in major cities, produce widespread fear within criminal networks, human smuggling rings, and communities harboring fraudsters. This combination of direct, forceful removal and overwhelming psychological pressure is precisely why ICE must remain fully operational, lavishly funded, and unapologetically aggressive. The dual effect of direct removal plus massive deterrence is the cornerstone of effective immigration control. Every criminal illegal alien removed from American soil is one less threat to citizens. Every fraudster who self-deports saves taxpayer dollars and preserves resources for lawful residents. Every potential entrant who stays home because of ICE's reputation prevents another burden on schools, hospitals, welfare systems, and public safety. Visible, aggressive enforcement does not merely react to illegal immigration, it prevents it, reduces it, and reverses it. ICE's ability to project power deep into the interior, combined with unrelenting public operations and streamlined voluntary exit programs, creates an unbreakable cycle of deterrence and self-removal. This is not theory. It is demonstrated reality under current policy. ICE must be expanded further, funded without limit, and empowered to act with maximum force so that the deterrent remains absolute and the flow of unwanted foreigners is permanently reversed. Expansion through multi-agency and military integration. ICE stands as the commanding force in deportation efforts, directing the expulsion of illegal aliens, criminal immigrants, fraudsters, and foreign threats from American soil. To achieve the required scale, ICE must integrate every available federal agency into its operations without delay or limitation. The Federal Bureau of Investigation must prioritize counterintelligence against foreign operatives embedded in communities, handing suspects directly to ICE for immediate removal. The Drug Enforcement Administration must align its narcotics investigations with immigration enforcement, ensuring that any foreign criminal caught in drug trafficking faces swift deportation. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives must target illegal arms dealings involving non-citizens, coordinating arrests that lead straight to ICE detention. The Internal Revenue Service must supply tax data to expose fraudulent work schemes and welfare exploitation by unlawful immigrants, triggering mass removals. U.S. Marshals must assume responsibility for transporting high-risk detainees, freeing ICE agents for frontline raids and apprehensions. This full integration transforms isolated agency efforts into a unified deportation powerhouse, multiplying the volume of expulsions and closing loopholes that allow criminal elements to persist. State and local law enforcement must be fully deputized under 287G agreements, empowering police officers to act as extensions of ICE in every city, county, and neighborhood. Reimbursements from federal funds must flow generously to incentivize participation, covering overtime, equipment, and training for immigration-specific operations. Local forces must conduct routine checks during traffic stops, crime scenes, and welfare verifications, detaining any illegal alien or criminal immigrant for handover to ICE. States must build and operate their own detention facilities, like those in Florida and Louisiana, to house detainees until removal flights depart. This decentralized network ensures that no corner of the country becomes a safe haven for unlawful foreigners, as every level of government contributes to the relentless push for expulsion. Without this mandatory cooperation, pockets of resistance would harbor threats, but with it, the deportation machine operates seamlessly nationwide. Military resources must be deployed unrestricted, placing the full might of the Department of Defense at ICE's disposal. Troops must handle logistics for massive raids, providing secure transport for thousands of detainees at once. Surveillance assets, including drones and satellite imagery, must track movements of suspected criminal networks and foreign military-aged men operating under fraudulent statuses. Military bases must serve as overflow detention centers, housing detainees in secure compounds until deportation. Aircraft carriers, cargo planes, and helicopters must facilitate rapid removals to origin countries or third-party destinations, bypassing civilian bottlenecks. The Department of Defense has already diverted billions in funding and stationed tens of thousands of personnel for enforcement surges, proving the viability of this approach. Further expansion must include invoking necessary authorities to overcome outdated restrictions, allowing soldiers to assist in arrests and escorts where civilian capacity falls short. This military backbone is essential for handling the invasion scale problem, ensuring that no threat, whether a welfare-dependent fraudster or a potential enemy combatant, escapes removal. These expansions represent the only viable path forward, as the United States confronts an unrelenting influx of criminals, welfare abusers, fraudsters, and foreign operatives. Full funding must pour into ICE and its partners, with lowered hiring standards and massive recruitment bonuses to swell ranks overnight. New facilities, tent camps, repurposed prisons, and expanded bases must rise across the nation to detain millions if needed. Unrestricted interagency cooperation must become permanent policy, erasing silos that hinder efficiency. The whole-of-government military-backed deportation machine must operate at maximum intensity, expelling every illegal criminal alien, every criminal immigrant, every fraudulently admitted foreigner, and every unwanted element without exception. This integrated system alone can restore American sovereignty, securing communities from the dangers of unchecked migration and preserving resources for citizens. Conclusion: sovereignty, security, and the imperative of removal. The United States immigration enforcement system, centered on ICE and amplified by the full mobilization of federal, state, local, and military resources, stands as the unbreakable shield protecting American territory from unlawful presence, criminal infiltration, welfare exploitation, and foreign subversion. Every serious nation on Earth maintains a powerful removal capacity because uncontrolled migration inevitably brings crime, resource drain, and security risks. The United States, as the world's most attractive destination for economic opportunity, welfare benefits, criminal enterprises, and even hostile foreign operatives, requires an even more formidable system. ICE delivers exactly that: a nationwide network of agents, detention facilities, investigative units, and removal operations capable of locating and expelling threats anywhere inside the country. Historical precedent, from colonial-era banishments of transients to the mass deportations of Operation Wetback and the nearly 57 million expulsions recorded from 1920 to 2018, proves beyond doubt that deportation is the rightful, effective, and time-tested method of national self-defense. Weakening or abolishing ICE would dismantle the only interior mechanism capable of reversing the damage caused by porous borders and fraudulent entries. Global examples only reinforce this truth. Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and every functional state equip their enforcement agencies with the tools and authority needed to remove unwanted foreigners swiftly and decisively. Contemporary enforcement under decisive leadership correctly prioritizes the expulsion of criminal illegal aliens, criminal immigrants, fraudulently admitted individuals, welfare abusers, and all security threats embedded within American communities. Massive expansions in ICE personnel, detention beds reaching record levels, unprecedented funding allocations, and seamless interagency integration have transformed mass removal from aspiration to operational reality. Visible, forceful, and unapologetic operations, raids, workplace arrests, courthouse apprehensions, and neighborhood sweeps generate overwhelming deterrence that stops potential invaders before they cross the border and compels those already here to self-deport in fear of capture. The numbers speak clearly. Deportations surging past 600,000 in a single year, border encounters collapsing by 93%, and millions choosing voluntary departure rather than face inevitable removal. Public support for ICE draws the sharpest line in American civic life. Those who demand full funding, unrestricted operational freedom, lowered hiring barriers, recruitment bonuses, new facilities, and continuous expansion stand firmly with American sovereignty and the safety of citizens. Those who seek to defund, restrict, reform into ineffectiveness, or abolish ICE actively enable the ongoing invasion and the continued presence of criminals, fraudsters, and exploiters. Multi-agency coordination turns the deportation machine into an unstoppable force. The FBI, DEA, ATF, IRS, U.S. Marshals, and other federal entities must remain fully committed to identifying fraud, tracking criminal networks, and handing targets to ICE for removal. State and local police, reimbursed and deputized through expanded 287G agreements, extend enforcement into every community. Military resources, troops for logistics and surveillance, bases for detention, aircraft for transport, and billions in redirected funding provide the surge capacity required to expel millions at the necessary scale. This whole-of-government military-backed framework leaves no criminal alien, no fraudulently admitted individual, no welfare exploiter, and no unwanted foreign element beyond reach. Operational restrictions must be eliminated, legal barriers that slow removal must be swept aside, resources must flow without limit. The focus of United States immigration policy is absolute and non-negotiable. Get every illegal criminal alien out of America, get every criminal immigrant out of America, get every person who entered or remained through fraud out of America, get every welfare abuser out of America, get every security threat and unwanted foreigner out of America. Unwavering, unqualified commitment to ICE and the broader deportation apparatus is not a matter of political preference. It is the fundamental requirement for preserving American safety, protecting finite resources, defending national integrity, and ensuring that the blessings of liberty remain for citizens and lawful residents alone. Anything less invites permanent occupation by those who have no right to be here. Full support, relentless expansion, and uncompromising execution of removal operations are the only path that secures the future of the United States as a sovereign, safe, and prosperous nation.